Make fashion is storytelling, self-expression, and advocacy through wearables, design, and technology. Welcome to creating a touch-activated circuit to add to any wearable session of a 3-part Halloween edition. This Halloween, I have the ideas of being a Winx Fairy, Orange Blossom from Strawberry Shortcake, or a monster. What will you be? Once I decide on my costume, I'm most definitely going to use technology to help bring my costume to life. I want to encourage you to do the same. Let me give you an example of this. This piece is called Ocean Skirt. I was inspired by the lack of knowledge people have on how plastic affects the ocean, and I wanted to increase the awareness of this issue. I used an Arduino to program LED lights to mimic the motion of the wave and learn how to solder it all into one circuit and run off one battery. This piece is called You Are Valuable. This piece has a deep meaning to me. I wanted to send the message of self-love and self-confidence. I hacked a projector to project images of my brother's sonograms. This piece is called Purple Dragon. Diana's dragon is a symbol of inner strength each girl has within. This strength is revealed with the help of a programmed circuit playground, express and LED lights illuminating her scales and spiky spines in colors and flickering to Diana's liking. In this session, I've asked James Simpson, MakeFashion Edu's Innovation Director, to show us how to make one of my favorite circuits to add to any wearable, a touch-activated circuit. He will show you how to put together this simple circuit and create activation pads so you can integrate that interactivity into your piece's story.
Today we're going to show you how to make your project touch-activated. Adding interactivity to your project adds additional meaning. It allows you to react to situations in the same way that you choose when to smile or when to frown. As an always-on project, it's cool, but it's like a freeze frame. I want to be able to show people how I feel depending on what's going on. I really like this because it shows that a project, it's not my entire identity. It's one part of me that comes up sometimes in some situations. But when that situation happens, bam, lights go on, attention is on me, my story, and what I have to say. Hi, I'm James with Steamhead, and I'm going to show you how to build this circuit. It's a MOSFET touch circuit where we create a circuit of light that's turned on and off using the low conductivity of your body. MOSFETs are important because they are the first step in controlling lights with motors and sensors and computers. They listen for a signal, and when they hear that signal, things turn on. What types of signals? Well, a motion sensor, a sound sensor, an Instagram-like sensor. Whatever a computer can see, a MOSFET can hear. Okay, so what do we need? There's some options, but I'm going to use a 6-volt ferry wire with 2 3-volt batteries. Actually, I have a set in there, so it's really useful to have some extra batteries though. Wires, safety goggles, a soldering iron, some sandpaper. This is really important, this MOSFET. Make sure to get the one that we've linked. And then also, scissors are great, or a wire stripper, or this fancy wire stripper that I really like. But if you don't have these types of strippers, a pair of scissors will work. It's just a little bit slower, a lot slower. Okay, so these materials are pretty easy to get, but you have to make sure that everything is compatible, that it works together. Adafruit has everything, and Amazon as well. I made a shopping list of things that will work well together and put the links on the shelf. That's a section of Steamhead's website with shopping links. It's stuff that we like. It's on our shelves, and it all works pretty well. We try to make these links for all our workshops, so feel free to check it out. You can support the students by getting a photo book or even a t-shirt. While you are using a soldering iron for this project, I assume that you have an adult you trust watching out for you. Check in with them. You can get one anywhere adults are sold. And I'm trusting that you have had soldering iron safety training. I'll put a few safety training video links from YouTubers in the workshop description. Make sure that you can be safe before using your soldering iron. Pointing in hot, very hot. The holder, also hot. These parts, not so much. You can touch these parts, it's fine. The soldering iron will make a little bit of smoke when you're using it. Not enough for a new pope, but have a little bit of airflow in the room. No. Maybe an electric fan. To put everything together, I'll need a small but clear place to work. I'm going to draw the circuit diagram out on a piece of paper so that I can use it as a guide when building my real circuit. I suggest you to do the same. It's a lot nicer having it on paper versus looking at the screen. Just copy down what I'm about to draw. For more information about paper, ask your parents. Okay, so let's get started here. You can do a simpler version for yourself if you like. But here's the MOSFET. And, okay, it's got 3 legs. And there's a wire over here. So I'm going to draw the battery holder that looks like my battery holder. If you have a different battery holder, you can draw it different, but this is a good match. So simple. And then there's another wire that comes off of that. And okay, so for the MOSFET, part of this is negative and part of this is positive. So I'm going to label those. The center wire and the final leg. This final leg, this is a touch circuit. That's where you're going to activate the MOSFET. That's where you're going to be holding on to. And then right here is the fairy wire. So put some dots down. And so this is going to be, these are going to be your LEDs. This is where the lights are at. And let's see. We're going to do sandpaper right here. I'll just like draw a piece of sandpaper to help call it out. And that is your circuit. This is what you need on a piece of paper. Okay, so let's get started. I've got my fairy wire, and actually an important thing for me to know is which wire is positive and which wire is negative. I've got this 3-volt battery, top is positive, and I'm going to sand these wires on the fairy lights so that I can expose the metal. They've got a little bit of plastic on them. I just need to get rid of that, and then I'm going to stick my battery in between, and when it turns on, okay, that's not on. Okay, all right, now, yep, it's on. So now I know which wire is positive and which wire is negative. This one's positive. I'm gonna put a little piece of tape on it, and I'm gonna cover up the contact point. I'm gonna need that contact point later on. And I'm just gonna mark it as positive. So that way I'll be able to place everything in the right order on my circuit diagram. Okay, so I'm gonna add a little bit of tape to everything, and that's just so that I can hold it down in place on top of the drawing. You don't have to do this. I just want to hold it down on top of the drawing so that you can see how I'm progressing through this kind of circuit diagram. This wire right here, where does it go? Like it's going to go in 2 places. I have to cut it in half. The MOSFET's going to go up there, and half of this wire is going to be down below, and half of this wire is going to be up above. So this is going to go up above. I guess it's a little bit too long. That's fine. And then this wire is going to go down below. So I've got 2 black lines remaining. So 1 wire for there. And let's just tape that down. That'll go on to the MOSFET later on. And then I need a little bit more tape. Just hold everything in place. Cool. So you guys can see I need to add the touch wire now. So I'm going to grab 1 more wire. Nope, not this wire. This wire. So pin and socket separate. Grab one of these, and that looks good. I'm going to actually just stick it on the MOSFET right now. I'm going to push it in there really tight. There we go. That's tight. Okay, and then I'm going to tape it down just so that you guys can see my progress. You guys don't need to tape your stuff down. And so I've got 1 of the pins in. That's the touch wire. I need to be touching that the whole time to control the MOSFET. Okay, so what's next? Let's do this. This is an easy one. Peel a little bit of tape away, and I'm going to stick this in. It's not going all the way in, so I need to just rotate that wire a little bit and then see if it'll go in. Yep. So those are even. So that's in. It's a pretty solid connection. Let me just get my tape in order here. And okay, so the next piece I can do over here. This is going to require soldering. I'm just going to spin this around that leg a couple times. This is the tip of the fairy wire that I sanded. So that's all, that metal is already exposed. Just fold it down, just whatever kind of loops that you want. See, it's loose right now. Loose, loose. And then what I'm going to do is my soldering iron's hot. I'm just going to place it on the metal and stick a little bit of solder in there. This is a pretty messy job. That's fine. You don't have to do this too nicely. Not for this circuit. There we go. And yep, pretty solid connection. Yeah, yep. And okay, let me just reset everything so you can see that I've got all 3 legs of the MOSFET hooked up. My wires are a little long. That's fine. And the last connection I have to do is to solder this again. I haven't sanded that yet. So I'm going to sand it down. And actually, I didn't say this before, but you can tell that you've sanded enough when you start to see a little bit of copper. It's hard to see on camera. I'm going to sand it some extra amounts so that you guys can kind of see some of the copper color. Typically, you won't have to sand it that much, but as long as you can see, I don't know if you can see some of that on camera, a little bit of copper color showing through. So I've peeled away both the kind of outer plasticky layer and some of the kind of chrome layer as well. Now I'm going to wrap this around this pin head. And however you'd like to wrap it around is fine. Here, let me just get this tightly wrapped around a bunch of times. And there we go. Okay, that's pretty good. It's tight. It's not bad. It's kind of bouncy for me to hit with a soldering iron, so I'm just going to leave it in the air, put my soldering iron underneath it, and then I'll put the solder in coming on top. And just get some solder in there. Just make sure everything holds down. I touch the pin head with my solder, not just directly onto the soldering iron. That way, make sure everything is hot and everything is melted. Let's tape this up, just so that it doesn't come into contact with any other circuits. This isn't a part of the circuit that I need to touch. I sanded down a different part for that. There we go, nice and tight, and that's good to go. Okay, let me reset everything just so that you can see that that's about it. That's pretty simple. Low amount of soldering, and let me get all my wires in place. These are a little bit long, but I think you can see where they go. Here's the ferry wire. That's it. You're good. You're done. You're good. You have created a MOSFET touch activated circuit. Okay, so let me pull it off. I'm going to stick it on just a white background so that you can see it plainly, and then I'm going to use it. I'm going to hold down the touch controller and I'll hit the negative. And oh, okay, the positive is covered with blue tape. All right, give me a second. Easy peasy, presto, no tape. Okay. And then you can turn it on. Okay, so turn it on, and then hold the touch, and then press. Wait, it should turn on when I press these things. Oh, because I turn it off. Okay. So off, on, off, on. Okay, it works. All right, and so yep, it's just this wire. When it gets negative or positive, it turns off and on, and you can use your body as a conductor. The body will carry the signal from the positive and negative end, and it turns these lights on. So pretty cool. That's the circuit that you've built. So actually, what I meant to do was have my contact point right here. This is where I want to be hitting the negative line. So let me just cut this, and I'm just going to strip off some of the wire, some of the plastic coating the wire. I'm not going to cut the wire or anything. Actually, these things can be pretty sensitive sometimes. I cut the wire. Okay, so I'll just take off the plastic from this tip, twist it around, and then I'll take off the plastic from the other tip and twist it around, and then twist these together, and then I can just solder these together. Twist them a bunch, and then I'm just going to air solder these together. Cool. And that's where I wanted my contact point to be. So when I touch this, that's the negative line. So when I touch this, my body is full of negative charge, and I can grab the touch point on the MOSFET. So off, on, off, on. So the one on the bottom is the positive charge from the battery. One on the top, negative charge from the battery. And it's flowing through my body to the rest of the circuit. So it can even work through multiple people.
So like if I grab onto you and then I touch it on, off, like that.
Just like that. The circuit uses your body as a conductor. When you touch the positive circuit, when you touch the positive circuit, it flows through you and tells the MOSFET to activate. Stop. Okay, so positive circuit flows through you, tells the MOSFET to activate. Negative circuit flows through you, tells the MOSFET
On.
to deactivate.
Off.
You might be using this and like trying to get it on hats and moving it around and showing people. It could break. These soldering connections on here could come apart. So actually, Haley has a lot of experience soldering. Haley, do you have some advice for us on how we can repair things?
I'm going to share 3 steps I take to troubleshoot a circuit that doesn't work. Step 1, checking to see if the power is on. Are the batteries put in the right way? Are the positives and negatives matching? Step 2, is everything connected? It might look connected, but trust me, it might not be. The electrons might not be able to flow through because it is not connected firmly. Number 3, are the electrons flowing to its happy place? Electrons move from negative to positive, so if the flow is interrupted somewhere, it will stop the flow. These 3 steps take most of the time, but if it doesn't work, I usually keep trying until I get it. It also might be helpful to ask a friend to take a look at it. Fresh eyes can help a lot. It can also be really frustrating, but keep at it. Good luck.
We put this circuit together. It's pretty awesome. You can use this on a lot of different projects. And building this as a separate thing is awesome, so that you can go and apply it to wearables, to table projects, whatever you like. Now that we have built this circuit, let's attach it to Carrie's Fire Nation headpiece. And actually, yeah, let's get a make session going on so that you guys can see this stuff made again and applied to our papercraft headpieces. I'm going to tuck it in on the edges here, and I'm going to go around these Fire Nation logos, and that's going to come around to the camera side right now. And so I'm going to put these things all the way around the hat in a big circle. And I think we might put some of the white lights on the inside later on. So to do this really nicely, you should take your time. You know, it might take you an hour to put everything exactly where you want. But for now, I'm just going to wrap it around. And let me get these white lights here. And these guys, these pre-made ones, this isn't a touch circuit. I'm just going to have them on the inside. There we go. And cool. My battery pack, it's going in on the back here. This cable here is going to connect to my neck, or I might make a longer one to touch to my hand. And I will be able to turn the lights on or off just by touching my head. Okay, so the lights are off. And then when I just tap them on the side, right there, lights come on. And then I can tap again, off, on, off. So there you go. There's a touch-activated lights for your papercraft hat. I might choose to extend the wires down and maybe have them on the sides of my faces, or wherever I want to put these circuits to activate in. You can put these individual LEDs behind the paper and like hot glue them in, or whatever adhesive you have. You can also use aluminum foil to make bigger touchpads on the sides, or wires to draw them out anywhere that you want. What you probably do is use your soldering iron to connect a wire to the original points, and then use a soldering iron on the aluminum foil to make just a larger surface area to touch. After you've crafted a project and added on electronics, you're gonna want to document it. You're gonna want to do some photography. So join us next episode for Mike Shaw walking you through how to make amazing photographs using light and craft.
Thanks, James. We just learned how to make a touch-activated circuit to act to any one of your wearables. What will you use this circuit to touch activate? Share your ideas and builds with hashtag MakeFashion Edu and hashtag MakerCamp. If you would like more ideas on wearables, head to MakeFashionEdu.org. Don't forget to submit your costume to Make's Halloween costume contest and level up your costume in submission photography with our other 2 sessions. Session 1 is to create a dramatic headpiece to add with your costume with just paper and cardboard. MakeFashion creators Carrie Young and Twila Busby will show you how to do that. Or you can level up your pictures with easy photoshoot hacks with our runway photographer and videographer, Mike Shaw. See you there!